All right, welcome to the Hidden Sirens. What do we call this? Podcast? Is it a YouTube? Whatever we
Yeah,
are, we do many other things. So I guess we're whatever we want to be. I'm Ryan,
I'm Jeremy.
and today we are going to do. What are we doing, Jeremy?
Philadelphia Project.
Yep, the Philadelphia Experiment, or I
Oh, okay.
guess it would be Project Rainbow. So, for everybody that doesn't know, the Philadelphia Experiment was claimed
1943.
Yep, claimed to be witnessed in 1943. It was an experiment where the USS Eldridge disappeared and then reappeared. So supposedly the destroyer disappeared and then reappeared in, where was it? Virginia, the Norfolk.
That's just crazy, dude. I wonder why haven't they perfected it yet? If they already know how to do it.
Oh yeah, supposedly they've known how to do it since before then even. Or maybe it was then that they figured it out, or it was on accident. So I don't know. This one is crazy because Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein were involved in the beginning. So supposedly Albert Einstein worked for the Navy, and that was for 4 years,
Huh.
5 years, because the experiment was allegedly based on an aspect of some unified field theory, a term coined by Albert Einstein to describe a class of potential theories. Such theories would aim to describe mathematically and physically the interrelated nature of the forces of electromagnetism and gravity.
Huh. Sounds pretty crazy to me.
So, according to some accounts, unspecified researchers thought that a theory of this type would enable using large electrical generators to bend light around an object via refraction so that the object could become completely invisible. Uh,
So were they going into the future or into the past? Could be what started the Mandela effect.
well, it, it was the Navy's experiment, and the whole the whole purpose of this was they wanted to make the ship disappear and not be detected on radar during the fight against Hitler in the war. So what
World
happened
War
was,
II.
yeah, what happened was the Germans were using the underwater mines that like detected is it the steel at the bottom, like
Okay.
whatever's on the bottom of the ship. There's the mine like magnetizes to the bottom of the naval craft.
Yeah.
So it shoots up, attaches to the bottom of the ship, and it's an underwater mine, and then it explodes. So they were taking out like a lot of our ships. So I guess the whole purpose of this, that was the government. They were tapping into my phone again.
They
Every
don't
time
like us.
every time I do this. So they attach to the bottom of the ship and then blow up and take out our ships, and they wanted to make our ship disappear and not be detected by radar. That way that the underwater mines could not do that anymore.
Huh.
So that was their whole thing. It was based on trying to get a step ahead in the war. And to start out on the project, they got Nikola Tesla, and at the very beginning, he was the lead. What do you call it? The the mastermind of the project.
All right, I got you.
So he was like the lead researcher or whatever. Uh, so what happened was he came in to the project and he was using his magnets, his like giant magnets, putting them on top of the what do you call it, the bow or whatever of the ship, like on top.
Okay.
And he was trying to make it disappear and then reappear, or at least be undetectable by radar.
Yeah.
So the first time they did it, he made sure that they were going to conduct this with no one on board the ship, and he did it, and it was somewhat successful. I think it was okay. So it was a smaller vessel, and I think it went for like 10 seconds, or
That's pretty sweet.
it was pretty short. It didn't last very long. So, so anyway, yeah, the first time it worked somewhat, but there was still stuff that needed tweaked out on it to make it better. And what happened was he was going to do it again, and he said that he didn't want any any people on there because he was afraid of the effects that the radiation or there would be radiation at what it would do to the people on the vessel. So they ignored what he said, so he sabotaged it the second time and said, "Oh, well, I can't get it to work. I don't have time for this, so I'm not going to deal with this." And so he bailed out of the experiment. And that whole thing was because he had like morals. Like he didn't want people getting injured because of
Yeah.
because of the whole test. So he like set himself up or made it look like it didn't work on purpose and screwed it up so they would get rid of him, or well, he would stop. And I'm guessing that he didn't think that it would do anything, like they wouldn't be able to do it without him, probably is my
Huh.
guess. That's my guess. He thought maybe, oh well, they won't be able to do this without me, so I'm gonna save people from getting hurt, and I'm just gonna jump out of this project, and they won't be able to do it, and they won't be able to hurt anyone. But he was wrong because they just got somebody to replace him.
Huh. That somebody inherited a mess.
Yeah, well, the guy that replaced him was supposedly not very. He was a very strange character, not almost unhuman, like just a real.
Maybe it was the devil.
No, he was he was super smart and like really good and
Okay.
like he was really good in mathematics and whatnot. Let me figure out who replaced Who replaced Tesla on it? Because it's like if I don't write down the information, it just disappears off the computer, and it's really annoying.
Oh, it sucks.
So another thing was they called it. Uh, oh, that was weird. Now my computer's really freaking out. They called it Project Rainbow.
Yeah.
You know why they called it that?
Actually, no.
You don't know why?
The video I was watching, I didn't hear it. I didn't
Well,
hear that.
supposedly it was because when the test was running, there were rainbow colors happening all around the ship.
Oh, nice.
So there was like red, green, blue, yellow, like all,
Purple.
yeah, like all different things happening like around the ship, and that was when they activated the generators and like started up the project.
Holy crap. That would be a weird one to witness. I wish they had footage I could watch. That'd be cool. I want to
Yes.
see it.
So basically, they use Tesla's engineering and electromagnetic fields. Like he had all. Oh, and his was all. I heard it again. That was the government, I swear. His
Yeah.
was all rotating like magnetic systems and analog. So his was really analog. Uh, and I'm pretty sure he's the one that was collaborating with Albert Einstein and others at Princeton University and the Navy facilities. And it was his coils, his wireless energy ideas for cloaking or radar evasion technology. I know that it started out, yeah, so it was started out at Princeton, and he withdrew around 1942, and it was, like I said, due to moral concerns. He feared
Yeah.
he feared the experiment could dangerously warp space and time and rupture reality, cause harm to humans, or have catastrophic unintended effects like madness, fusion with metal, or time anomalies. He is said to have warned against proceeding. So, the person that replaced him was John von Neumann. He was a Hungarian American mathematician, physicist, and computer pioneer. He took
That's
over.
pretty cool.
He took over the lead role, and Van Neumann was portrayed as having fewer moral reservations than Tesla. He had no hesitation about pushing the dangerous aspects forward. So he didn't care about, he was like, let's put the people on there, let's push it forward, let's make this happen. And pretty sure he he had to figure out what was wrong, like what Tesla did wrong. So,
Huh.
and he was not so much on the analog side like Tesla was. So, I think it was something to do with electromagnetic generators. And he came in, continued on the work, and then he like supposedly got it fixed. And then he went in and was like, okay, now this is ready. Let's try it again. And then I think that's where the whole second time it happened, and that's where this whole thing comes from. Is the second time they tried to do it, which you read that part, right?
Huh. So they did it twice?
Yeah, the second time is when it actually worked.
Okay. It's
So,
pretty crazy.
so the second time, do you know the second time? Do you want to run that one or?
Oh, go ahead. I didn't catch that one that well. I kept getting texts from my sister.
Yeah, so the second time was August 1943.
Okay.
Or no, that's wrong. Sorry. Second time was October 28th, 1943, the main experiment. Around 5:15 p.m. At the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. The generators ramp up, and then a greenish fog enveloped the ship. The Eldridge vanished completely from from Philadelphia and teleported 300 miles to Norfolk, Virginia, appearing briefly in the harbor. And I think it was for
Holy
like
crap.
10 minutes, and then it snapped back to Philadelphia. Uh, so time distortion occurs. Some claim seconds backwards or forward. During the teleportation shift phase, the field causes horrific effects. Sailors feel pulled apart. You see them through bulkheads or partially merged with metal. Madness sets in quickly. Bleak, as Edward Cameron and his brother Duncan are on deck near it. The experience is so overwhelming with sickness, terror, and a sense the ship is no longer solid. Panicking, they decided the only escape is to leap overboard into the water. So
Holy crap.
that's when they jumped off the ship and they run to the rail and jump, but instead of hitting Philadelphia harbor water, they fell through time like a black time tunnel or hyperspace vortex created by the experiment's field. So they don't drown or hit the ocean, they just fall into like complete darkness. And then
Huh.
they arrived in the future in 19 Long Island. They arrived in Long Island and the year was 1983. So that's where this whole conspiracy theory ties into another because they landed in Long Island at the Montauk Air Force Base, which is a whole nother thing. The Montauk Project is a whole nother conspiracy theory story. So
Yeah.
supposedly they land at Montauk Base during the later secret project, Montauk Project, involving time travel, mind control, alien tech, and many other claims. And Duncan reportedly ages rapidly, 1 year per hour, due to the temporal displacement, and dies of old age soon after. Edward Bleak survives longer, gets involved in the Montauk experiments, has memories suppressed, brainwashed by the government, and lived on as a time traveler agent. That's
Huh.
so
Pretty crazy.
that's what it says, but for what I gathered from what I studied, it the two guys uh, ended up at the base, and then that scientist that took over for Tesla was there, and he asked them if they recognized him, and they said no because he was 40 years older, and he told them like I'm Van Noy, like from the Philadelphia experiment, and they're like, and this I swear they keep tapping into my phone, and he said this is the future, uh, and he starts telling them, and they didn't believe him, so then he like goes on to prove to them that they're 40 years into the future and the year's 1983. And so he shows them like uh, colored TV, newspaper articles, and then I think what they saw was an ad on the TV for what was it? It was a jetliner. I can't remember
Oh,
what
shit.
I can't remember what one it was, but they saw it, and I think that's what convinced him because at the time, their time back where they were, the time they were in 1943 or whatever, they hadn't accomplished like making any airplanes or anything quite yet.
Oh
So
yeah, that's true.
they saw a commercial for jetliner like traveling, go on vacation with us, blah blah blah, and that like really convinced them to where they're like, okay, we believe you. This is insane. Like, now what? And that's when Von Noy told him, well, you're gonna have to stop the ship. Like, it's still in hyperspace, like going crazy. Uh,
Huh.
and it was only getting bigger and bigger. Like, let's see. Yeah, so no one.
Oh, we've been on it for 38 minutes already.
So, no, that's not right. I gotta find what's going on there. Okay, so the ship was causing a giant space time. What would you call it?
Rift.
Basically, like it was getting bigger and it was going to destroy Earth.
Oh crap! Holy shit, that's insane.
So he told them that they were going to have to go back and destroy the generators to make it turn off.
Huh?
So I guess he told Alan and I think the other guy is Bleak, that they go back. Here's two radiation suits. We had because they said, "Well, how are we going to go back, or how are we going to go back?" And he told them that the only way that they could go back is through time travel, and that they had a time machine like in the tunnels of the Montauk base, and they would send them back through the time machine back to 1943 onto the ship, and they needed to destroy the generators. And he gave them two radiation suits because he told them that when they go into the time machine to go back, that it would cause like radiation burns and stuff. So they had to wear these suits. So supposedly in that base, they sent them back. And once they got sent back to the ship, they were destroying the generators. And I guess the last of it was like there was some down inside the ship, and then
Huh.
the last of it was up on top, like, so they went back up and were destroying the last of it. And I guess I think Bleak, they saw this, like the people trapped in the steel, and the rest of the people that were still there were like really stark raving mad. And I guess
Huh.
he saw his brother trapped like deep into the steel, like, so basically his brother's like
Like
dead.
he was infused into it.
Yeah, so basically he was dead
Wow.
or going to be dead.
Yeah.
So he got like probably overwhelmed with emotions, and as Alan was finishing destroying the last of it to make it stop and it was starting to go off, that guy ran the Bleak ran and jumped off again, but Alan stayed on, and then it stopped. And it was all over, and the ship appeared back. And I guess back in the bay, and I guess it was only gone for like 4 hours or something.
Holy crap.
But it had enough fuel in the generators to, I believe, they had enough fuel for like 48 hours or 32 hours or something crazy. Uh, but it was only gone for 4, and so it stopped, and then that's when the guy Van Noy came on board, and everybody came on board and saw just the one guy left, and he told his story, and they thought he was crazy. But when they went into the future to the Montauk base, like Van Noy, that's how he'd already known. Like when they showed up at that time there, 40 years later in the future, that's how he knew what was going to happen because he had already told him the story 40 years prior
Yeah.
of it happening. But suppose they're tapping in again. Supposedly he knew, or he had his, what was it? Alan had his memory wiped and everything suppressed by the government. So he didn't even remember until way later on when he was actually working uh, at the Montauk base. And he ended up, I believe he was working as a researcher, and he ended up going under hypnosis, and like they regressed his memories, like he had regressed memories or whatever, and they brought it all back, like, and he, it all came back to him, and then he remembered what had happened.
Oh, damn. That's insane, dude. Can you imagine that? Being the only one that lives through something like that? Being the messenger?
Yeah, that the whole story is really insane. And I mean, none of it would have even been found out if it wasn't for a bunch of letters. And let's see, I need to pull it up. I swear this doesn't do half of the stuff I ask it. I would think that our computers and everything would be. Sorry about that, folks. I have no idea what happened. We just lost all internet connectivity, and I lost Jeremy, and I can't get a hold of Jeremy now. Everything just completely dropped out of nowhere. So I have no idea what's happening or why that happened. That's never happened before. That was a major, weird technical difficulty. I was explaining the very end of the Philadelphia experiment story, and I was explaining how the story surfaced in the late 1955 when Allen sent a book full of handwritten annotations referring to the experiment to a U.S. Navy research organization, and a little later a series of letters making further claims to a UFO author. And while I was going to explain that, everything, we just lost everything. We lost all connection and all power. Everything just shut down. I don't know what happened. So I guess with that, I'll just probably end this. I know Alan's account of the event is understood to be a hoax. There's several different contradictory versions of the alleged experiment that have circulated over the years. and paranormal literature and popular movies. So this has all been around for quite some time under the name Carlos Miguel Allende, which was Allen. Well, later on, Carl M. Allen. Uh, he began sending this series of rambling, eccentric letters directly to Jessup, over 50 in total over the years, and in them he claimed to have personally witnessed the experiment on the USS Eldridge from aboard a merchant ship, SS Andrew Ferruthis, in October 1943. He described the ship vanishing in a green fog, teleporting to Norfolk, Virginia, and back, with crew members suffering madness fusing into the deck. So he warned Jessup against further research into anti-gravity related topics, and the letters were full of odd capitalization underlining and inconsistencies, exact dates or verifiable witnesses. So Jessup was the one that was contacted by ONR officers who showed him the noted book they had received anonymously, and they recognized Allen's handwriting, and they were intrigued but skeptical. Some ONR personnel had a limited number of copies reproduced, including the annotations in Allen's letters by Vero Manufacturing Company in Texas. This became known as the rare Vero edition, which circulated among UFO enthusiasts and fueled speculation about government interests or cover-ups. So Jessup himself dismissed much of it as a hoax or delusion, but he was troubled enough to engage, and tragically he died by suicide in 1959 by carbon monoxide poisoning in his car, which some conspiracy theorists later linked that to this story. So the whole thing with the car is there was like a pipe coming from the tailpipe. There was like a hose going into the car that killed him. So I don't know, like everything in this story is weird. It's a conspiracy theory that's been around for a long time. I mean, considering that happened in 1943. So, you can be the one to determine whether or not you believe it. We just wanted to put it out there. I thought it was really weird that we lost all communications on this podcast or YouTube video, wherever you're listening to this at or on. I don't know. Maybe somebody didn't want me talking about it. But, this is already out there on a lot of different platforms with a lot of people that tell this story or retell this tale. So you be the one to decide whether or not this is true or false, and I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go and see you next time, because I lost Jeremy, and I don't know, everything just that happened on this episode is weird. So with that, I'm going to tell all you out there to stay weird, and we'll see you next time on Hidden Sirens podcast or YouTube channel.